Okay, so here we have the monitor itself. It comes in this really nice leatherette case that's kind of like an Apple iPad case. It has magnets in it that connect directly to the monitor itself. And if you want to stand it up, you kind of just open it up a little bit here, fold in the first flap over on itself so it creates like a little lip, and then you just kind of push out the monitor itself and it gives it like a little stop. You can also adjust it more down if you want, but this is the angle that it stops at. Now, unlike some of the cheaper LCD monitors, this one is super sturdy. It may weigh a little bit more, but it's definitely a lot sturdier, and it has a glass front and a glass back, surrounded by a nice sturdy aluminum, so you don't have to worry about it bending and breaking in case you put it into your book bag. And then if we take a look at the side here, you can see that we do have our headphone jack, our little rocker knob for selecting things, our power button, and you can see that we do have a speaker on this side as well as the other. Then on this side, as you can see, we have our speaker grill, we have our two USB Type-Cs, and our mini HDMI. And then like I said before, this is the front of the monitor, which is glass. And then if we flip it over, you'll see that the back is also glass, and it has the little signifiers for what each one of the buttons do. So from what I've seen so far, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 10 for build quality because it's definitely made out of some good solid materials. But let's go ahead and test it out a little further and see how well the picture quality is. Okay, so let's take a look at the user interface real quick, and to do that, all you need to do is push in on that little rocker knob here, and that brings up the interface, and everything's touch. So you can either use your finger, or if you have a stylus that you want to touch the screen with, that'll work as well. But again, like I said, everything is touch, so you can use your fingers too. So here we have the volume for the speakers, the brightness, our contrast, HDR, our input selection here. Here we have our FreeSync or overdrive for the screen. So you can see when I push overdrive, it kind of gives it a little more brightness. We'll go down to the next menu here. As you can see, 1080p by 60 Hertz. And then here we have the picture menu. You can change it for standard, your user, game. You can make FPS a priority, movie, text. So you can do a lot of different things here. You can change the color temperature of the screen. I typically like to keep it on standard. And then here we have the language selection. And that's pretty much it. Straightforward, very easy to use. And like I said, you can use a stylus or your finger if you want to. So looking at the picture quality right now, everything looks really nice. The glass screen does give a little bit of a glare, but I also think that the glass screen gives the picture quality that much more sharpness. So now let's test out the touch using Samsung's DeX. So we'll go ahead and open up an internet browser here. And then if you want to scroll, you need to make sure you use two fingers, because if you use one, that's only to select things. So we'll scroll up with the two fingers, and then if we want to select something, we can just touch it with one finger and it will go to whatever you need. So that's working out pretty good. One thing you do have to be mindful of is if you're scrolling, you kind of want to be off to the side, not touching anything, because if you go to scroll when you're over something, you may touch the link and then it goes to the next page. So kind of go off to the side when you're scrolling up and down, or you run the risk of accidentally touching a link and taking you somewhere where you don't want to go. Another funny thing is you can actually use the touchscreen to play mobile games such as PUBG here. So it's saying that some games weren't meant to be used with touchscreens, but this one kind of works. So here we are on the loading screen of PUBG. Here we have our little movement. If you want to move this, you can't just use one finger. You need to use two, and then you can move pretty much wherever you want, and then just use your other finger to look around. And it works out fairly good. So you can use the touchscreen for some games. Again, it may or may not work. You just need to try it out first to see if everything's working properly. Okay, so let's see what this monitor can and cannot do. Before, I had it connected to my Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, showing you DeX and UI, but I also had it connected to a wall adapter, so there weren't any issues. I want to see what happens if we just plug it into the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra by itself to use DeX. So I don't have anything else connected to it. Here's the USB Type-C. I'm going to plug it into my phone. and as you can see, it does power it up. So you can use this monitor on the go with just your Galaxy Note 20 Ultra to use DeX, but there's also a caveat. It only goes up to brightness 10 because it's not getting adequate power to go any further than that. So I'll show you that it is on 10 right now. It's probably at the lowest setting it'll go, and if you try to turn it up anymore, the whole screen just shuts off because it's not getting adequate power to go past brightness of 10. If you want that, I suggest either using a power bank or a wall adapter if you really want to turn up the brightness all the way. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug it into my power bank here. It is capable of outputting 5 volts at 2.1 amps. So go ahead and plug that in, and you should see the screen brightness go up immediately. And there you go. As you can see, we should be up to 100% brightness as we are. It looks so much better, and now you can still continue to use DeX and everything mobile. You just need a power bank to help you out. So now if you want to use Samsung DeX, you can use your phone as a little mouse, as you can see I'm doing right here, and you can also connect a Bluetooth keyboard to your phone as well. Now if you're using both the power bank and the phone at the same time, both of the USB Type-C ports are going to be used up. That's why you need to have a mouse and a keyboard that are Bluetooth if you want to use that as an extension, but you can still use your phone as a little mouse or a cursor here to select things, or you can still use your finger to use the touch screen. So one thing that you do want to be mindful of is which cables you put where. This very top USB Type-C is for the power or your power bank, and the bottom USB is for things you're going to connect the monitor to, such as a cell phone or a tablet. Another thing to consider is the touchscreen will not work on things that don't support it, such as like the Nintendo Switch, or if you're playing Xbox or something like that. So first I'm going to see what the sound quality sounds like connected to my phone, and then later on I'm going to hook it up to my tablet and we'll see if there's any difference in sound. So the sound quality is pretty good. It's not super loud, but it's definitely adequate for you to hear whatever you are playing on the screen. And again, we're going to see if there's any change when we connect it up to the tablet. So here's a YouTube video that I made that I'm streaming from the YouTube app using my Samsung DeX. The picture quality looks great. Everything's sharp and clear. Colors are vibrant. I really can't say anything bad. So if you're looking to play videos on this, they're going to look amazing. Okay, so here we're going to be testing out the monitor hooked up to an HP Elite tablet. It uses USB Type-C. First, we're going to see if we can just connect it to the USB Type-C without any external power source. Okay, so it seems like it's working. Just directly connected to the USB Type-C, nothing else. So it's still, again, it's at that 10% brightness. So we're probably going to have to connect it to an external power source for it to go even higher, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so I did turn the brightness up all the way, and I did not connect it to an external power source. It's just using the battery off the HP tablet, so you might not need an external power source, but again, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis depending on what your tablet can support. Okay, so I do have the screens extended. As you can see, the cursor moves from one to the other. The picture quality on the screen, again, looks amazing. So we're going to go ahead and test out the touch capabilities, because the HP tablet does have a touch on it. So we'll go ahead and open up a web browser here. Let's just go ahead and move that off to the side. So here, as you can see, we are on the website, and for here I can easily scroll up with one finger, and if I want to zoom in, I just use two fingers to pinch. Works beautifully. Now, as you can tell, I'm only using one finger when it's connected to the HP, because that's how the touch gestures work for this device. When it was connected to the phone, I had to use two fingers to swipe up and down, because that's what you have to do in Samsung DeX. So it's going to be different for each device that you hook up to this monitor. So we'll go ahead and click on the link here. So we go into the website. Again, beautiful scrolling, scrolls very smoothly, and even the back and forth gestures work just like they do on the tablet. So we'll just swipe to the right to go back, and then we swipe left to go back into the website that we were in. So the touch gestures work beautifully when it's connected to a PC. And the picture quality is super sharp, very clear. The colors are represented perfectly, if not even better. They're very vibrant. It's just a nice way to protect your watch and give a little accent as well. Here we have the Apple Watch 6 in the middle. I also have my Apple Watch 5. So the sound quality doesn't seem to have changed any, whether it's connected to my tablet or my phone. It's still adequate enough for you to listen to whatever you need to, and the picture quality is still great. Colors are vibrant and it's very sharp. So now we're going to go ahead and test out the capability of whether or not we can connect the USB Type-C directly to the Nintendo Switch to the monitor and have it work, because if we can do that, we can have a portable gaming system with a nice big screen. So here I have the USB Type-C, nothing else connected. We're going to go ahead and connect it up. So it doesn't look like anything's happening, so you're definitely going to need an external power source, whether it be a wall adapter or your power bank. Okay, so I connected an external power source, which would be the wall adapter, to the USB directly to the Nintendo Switch, and it seems to be working just fine. So let's go ahead and try out some games. So in case you're wondering if it does run at its full 1080p, if you look at the bottom here, we can see it is running at 1080p at 60 Hertz. So at least you know that it will work totally without its dock and just USB Type-C. The picture quality looks amazing, super vibrant. The volume hasn't changed any. You can turn it all the way up. I just have it turned down because I don't want to get demonetized. So let's go ahead and try out some of the game. The refresh rate seems to be working just fine. I don't notice any lag while playing the game. Everything is pretty smooth. Again, the picture quality is excellent. And for those of you who've played Street Fighter before, you know that you cannot have any lag to do some of these moves. So this does seem to be a pretty good portable gaming unit. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that you get a power bank that is power enough or puts out enough power to have this work the way that it should, because if you don't, you might have the screen shut off or things get ruined. So just make sure that you get a power bank that's adequate for the setup. So I wasn't satisfied enough with just telling you guys that it's going to work. I needed to show you. So here's future me. I went ahead and bought a 60-watt power bank. I'm going to go ahead and plug it to the power bank, to the Nintendo Switch, and show you that you can use this totally portable without having to plug it into the wall. Okay, so here you go. As you can see, it is plugged into the Nintendo Switch, and I have the other USB Type-C going into my RAV power bank. And that's all we're doing. So you can use this totally portable with the Nintendo Switch. You just need to have a power bank that's capable of powering both the Switch and the monitor together. So another thing I was really curious to see is if we can get this to be a totally portable gaming unit using these little retro consoles that Nintendo puts out. They don't use a lot of voltage. That's typically about 5 volts, 2 amps. So I'm powering everything right off of this power bank. I have both things connected into it right now by the USB, and then I'm using the HDMI mini to HDMI to connect to this device. So we're going to go ahead and see if it works. There you go. So if you have one of these little retro gaming consoles laying around, know that you can use these portable if you really want to with a power bank. So let's go ahead and test out the touch screen with the Nintendo Switch. So as you can see, nothing's working because the Nintendo Switch doesn't support it. And that's how it's going to be with each device. Whether or not it supports it will determine whether or not you can actually use the touchscreen. Okay, so here we have the monitor hooked up to my iMac here. The iMac is not touchscreen, but the monitor is. So let's see if it works while it's connected to your Mac. So here, as you can see, when I use one finger, it's actually acting as if I'm moving the cursor. And if I use 2 fingers, I can actually scroll the screen. And it scrolls on my Mac, which is awesome. So you can use this as a touchscreen even though your Mac is not touchscreen capable. It doesn't seem like we can zoom in. with touch gestures, but we can scroll and we should be able to select things too. There we go. The picture quality again looks amazing. It's only 1080p at 60 Hertz, but it looks great. Color representation is on point as well, and everything seems to be working just fine. Let's see if we can go back. So we can, again, the touch gestures don't work like they do on the Windows, but you can still scroll and select things. So the monitor is just being powered by the one USB Type-C here, and it's also displaying all through the same cable. Now you should still be able to do the same thing with your MacBook or your MacBook Pro, just like you see here with the iMac. And it's also thin enough to fit right behind your laptop inside your book bag. So I've been using this monitor for the past week now, and I really have to say that it has the best picture quality for a 1080p portable monitor that I've seen thus far. And the materials that they use to build this are really premium. Like I said, it's got a front and a back glass surrounded by a solid aluminum. It really is super solid. It's not flimsy at all. It doesn't feel cheap. And also, because you're putting it into a book bag or something for travels, you don't have to worry about it bending or breaking. Again, as far as the sound quality goes, it's a little deceiving on the video because the mic is kind of far away from the speakers to pick up well enough for you to actually hear what it sounds like. Just know that the sound quality and volume is normal for these type of speakers. It's not low by any means to where you actually have to kind of listen in and it's hard to hear what's going on. It's definitely adequate enough for you to be able to hear what's going on the screen. Touchscreen works amazing again if you have it connected to your PC or Mac. I didn't run into any issues whatsoever. Scrolling, everything was super smooth, and the added bonus is that it turns your iMac into a touchscreen. And the fact this has a touchscreen really comes in handy because, especially if you have it hooked up to a smaller tablet or your phone, you don't have to consistently look down on your phone to kind of touch where you need to go. You can just do everything directly on the screen itself. Now, another couple things where this monitor really shines is the brightness and the viewing angles. Right now, I'm in front of a whole bunch of bright lights, and you can clearly see everything on the screen because it gets super bright. Another really good thing are the viewing angles. I know you can't really tell on the video, but for me, having this at a 90-degree angle, it only slightly dims the brightness, but I can very easily see still what's on the screen. So you don't necessarily have to be looking dead on it to get the best view.